Today, the person going to minister unto us is a very powerful woman of God, a very beautiful woman. She is a dietitian and she is a lecturer in dietetics in the University of, Health and Allied Sciences. She is a mother of two strong boys and a wife and a member of this church. With a round of applause, shall we invite Mrs. EUNICE Beko NARTEY.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. It's really good to be here. And Pastor and the Presbytery, I just want to take this opportunity to say a big thank you for this opportunity. And I pray that each one of us here is blessed today. So today, I'll be taking us through some knowledge I have acquired over time. And the topic is ABC of healthy living. ABC because we are all going back to the basics. And I pray that, as I said today, we are powerfully blessed. So for us as Christians, we know we have all been called to a purpose. And of course, as the groom said, a powerful purpose. And we are all called to be faithful stewards to this very purpose. But to do this effectively, we need to have healthy bodies in order to do this. And we have a charge in 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 2. And the charge says that, moreover, it is required in stewards that one be found faithful. And I pray that we are found faithful at the end of life, where we can say that when God says that good and faithful servant, it also means that you took care of the body he gave you. So we'll just look briefly at the impact of the choices we make in terms of diet. We'll talk of healthy ones, then we'll also talk of some unhealthy foods and the implication for us. But when we eat foods that are unhealthy, there are lots of implications. That's why Pastor wants us to have this discussion. We don't want to have us getting sick often. And when we eat well, it has a way of protecting us from some diseases like diabetes, hypertension, cancer, and of course, for us as women, it makes us more beautiful because you tend to have beautiful skin and beautiful hair as well. And for the men, especially the young ones, it makes you more muscular, and I'm sure you get the body that you would require. So with the ABC of healthy living, we have A, and the A means aim for fitness. And we have B. B is build a healthy foundation. Then we have C, choose foods sensibly. So we have entered the nursery school, so let's bear with each other. So for us to aim for fitness, we have to have what we call the ideal body weight. The ideal body weight is not just having excess fat or being overweight or obese, but if you are too thin too, it also has health implications. If you are too thin, when one gets sick, it's difficult for one to recover, and also one gets sick quite often. I think in a couple of weeks, the young couples here have a program, an aerobic class, and it will be wonderful for people to join to be able to maximize the benefit of exercise. And also, if you are able to come there, we'll be able to see what your ideal body weight should be. And once you know your ideal body weight, or speaking of the body mass index, which is an index we use in practice, we expect that you should have a good BMI, usually less than 24.9. But for us, if you visit your tailor or seamstress, we expect you to find out, is my waistline increasing? If your waistline is increasing and you're a woman and you have about 35 inches and more, then it's a cause for concern. It means you are accumulating more fat in your abdominal area than is most ideal. And if you're a man, it shouldn't be more than 40 inches. I think at this point, I will not ask you to tell me what your waistline is. We'll leave it to this point. But you should know. Then it prompts you to do something about your health. Then, going to the next slide, it talks about exercise. So join the young couples in a couple of weeks. Then maybe Patrick and the team can take you through about 30 minutes minimum. If you can't join us on your own, 3 times a week is considered ideal. And just brisk walking is fine, especially as one ages, is considered okay. Now, my business, building a healthy foundation. We all eat. We all eat. And from tribe to tribe, culture to culture, what we deem as food may be different. Some places, snail is food. Other places, it's not. In other places, some food are pets. Other places, it's not. But all in all, food is what we eat to live. And it is made up of nutrients. So I'll just go through some little basics so that we are all on the same platform. Then we can discuss specific foods. So foods actually provide us with the energy we need to dance and do all the things we need. It also protects us from illness. It helps us to build tissues if we are growing, or maintain them if we've grown enough, especially beyond 18 or 20 years. It helps to nourish our body for us to look beautiful, as we all do here. So there are 2 types of nutrients. We have those that build, like the mason builds the block step by step, and we also have those that protect us. Ideally, those that build up us, especially as we are growing, we want more of it. I've heard people say that, and I'm saying, I hope you all understand this, it's international church after all. Now I'm saying, I don't take carbohydrates because carbohydrate is not good for me. Actually, the body thrives on carbohydrates. The days you choose not to add any carbohydrate to your meal, you would feel that you don't have the energy to do the things that you do. But the type of carbohydrate is actually what matters. So for bodybuilding foods, proteins and fat, in addition to carbohydrates, is ideal. We'll go into the details shortly. Then for the protective ones, they are like soldiers for us. And soldiers have ammunition. So some, like it happened sadly in Israel, the Hamas team, they use all forms of ammunition. But for us, the fruit and vegetables we take give us different kinds of ammunition to find specific diseases that can come. For instance, cancer. Once we take a good combination of fruit and vegetables, we are able to fight off diseases and infections. Should they even come, we tend to recover also faster. Now, putting all these nutrients together to form a healthy meal is what is most ideal. But a healthy meal varies as we age, and also whether we have a disease condition or not. So for instance, what is most ideal for a 2-year-old is not ideal, for instance, for a 50-year-old man. For instance, milk. Whole milk is okay for a 2-year-old, but it is not okay for a 50-year-old. A 50-year-old, we recommend maybe a semi-skimmed or skimmed milk, because we want less fat as we grow, especially beyond 3 years. So whether there's a disease condition or not, or your age and the type of work you do and your gender will determine some foods you would need more of or less of. So sometimes we hear people say that dietitians more confused and dodo. Today this, tomorrow this, today this, because the one you are hearing it from maybe has diabetes. So we've told the person, don't take this. So ideally, know where you are getting your information from. Now, God in his own wisdom, on his own great wisdom, had put a special diet in the Bible in Leviticus, and it's called the Mediterranean diet. There had been tons and tons and tons of studies to find out the whole world, which diet are people on, and how did they live in terms of health and in terms of age. And we realized that of all diets in the world, Western, Ghana, Nigerian, every form of diet, the Mediterranean diet as prescribed by God is the most ideal. And because it's the most ideal, I want to take you through some few steps. We all know the triangle. A triangle has a wide base and a tip, a small tip at the top. And the wide base, using the Mediterranean diet, we'll use this as a guide to know how much of some specific foods we should go for. So when we look at the base, you can see some whole grains, some bread, beans, pasta, nuts, and most importantly, below the base, we have exercise, and we've talked of exercise, but most importantly, eating as a family has been found to create healthier individuals than eating alone or eating in isolation. But still back to the whole grains. So for whole grains, it means when you go to visit Auntie Ama in her bread shop, you should ask for brown bread instead of tea bread or butter bread or sugar bread. Alternatively, every other meal that comes with a fiber is ideal. So locally, we have plantain, we have maize. So if it is maize, because we need fiber in our meal, then it should come with, like maize cocoa or ebro cocoa, it should come with the fiber intact. So especially as we are aging and also for diabetics, we don't recommend foods that come with the fiber removed, like Hausa cocoa, the one you buy from the street. I'll leave room for questions, so we'll just move on. So the next step, we have fruits and vegetables. Then the next step, we have olive oil. This olive oil is not the kumchacha anointing oil. This is proper olive oil. This olive oil comes usually in a dark green bottle, and because it doesn't want to be exposed to light. So once you find it, you can have it. It's a bit expensive, but it's worth it. It's a worthwhile investment. Alternatively, we can go for canola oil or sunflower oil or soybean oil or coconut oil, the virgin coconut oil. Then the next step, we have fish and seafoods. Fish as in salmon. And for our women here, you know, when you go to the market and you buy salmon, when you take off the skin, you see this oil on the flesh. That is healthy, and it contains a lot of omega-3, and it helps to protect the blood vessels, especially as we age or if we have hypertension, or you want to make sure that probably you live as long as Caleb lived. Then aside that, still with fishes, we realize, you see, as we age, some develop arthritis, pains in the fingers, thumb, and one cause of this is having foods that come with lots of what we call purine. But this purine comes from whole fishes. So if, for instance, you've been told you have arthritis or you are battling with pain in your joints, then maybe you may be very careful going for fishes or herrings that come with their bones. The next step, we have eggs and cheese and also Greek yogurt or natural yogurt. And what we have in the small tip is meats like red meat and also sweets and also cakes. So the next slide is still, so I think we'll just go to the very next one. Building a healthy foundation. Choose grains and daily. So I have mentioned that we have wonderful grains and cereals in Ghana, fortunately for us, and they come cheap and also readily available. So one mark of a good cereal is that it should come with a fiber intact. Then the next one is the fruit and vegetables. You see, let me just ask. I just want to test how sharp you can think back. If you see a traffic light, there is something you should know. Red means, yellow means, green means. Great, so you still remember, then you have good memories. Now you realize that when you meet the traffic light, there are messages it would give you. Without anyone there, you stop or you get ready to go or you move. In the same way, fruits and vegetables also come with they are colorful. We have red, we have yellow, we have green, we have black and purple. And all these things come with what we call phytochemicals. And these chemicals have the ability to fight off diseases, especially cancer. So for instance, tomatoes comes in the red group. And tomatoes contain a chemical we call lycopene, and it helps to fight off prostate cancer. But it is when the tomatoes is cooked and not when it is raw. And I'll just move on. So looking at, if you ask yourself, then how do I select my meals in a day? In Ghana, we have something that had been developed by the Ministry of Health and Ghana Health Service. It's called the 4-star diet. The 4-star diet says that if you are able to choose from these 4 groups of food in a day, you are likely to have a healthy life. It means if I should choose from the top right, I think it should be yes. So the top right, okay, so your top right, we have, okay, so we have gari, we have plantain, we also have potatoes, the sweet potatoes or the orange flesh, we have cassava, we also have we have cocoyam, we have whole bread. Then the other ones, we have legumes, so beans, groundnut soup are also there. Then we have milk, skimmed or semi-skimmed. We have eggs. We also have fruit and vegetables, and you should choose varieties of this. What you are not supposed to take a lot of is oil, and margarine, and butter, and also palm oil. But it's food being healthy on a plate. If you take it and it is not safe, then there's really, really no point to it. So food has to be safe for us to eat. So for food to be safe, it's important for us to make sure that we do not contaminate the food we are about to eat with foods that are raw. So raw foods are always separated from cooked foods. So for instance, if you go to the market and you buy meat and it is in a bag, you wouldn't want to put it on, say, buffalo that you have bought to bring to your child. It will make them sick. And still talking of safe foods. So when we go to the market and you want to buy maize, the maize, when you go, you realize there are 2 types. One is, say, 14 cedis, one is 20 cedis, but they look the same. You should ask, the one that is 14 cedis may have a powdery substance. So there's a toxin we have realized, especially with cheap grains, called aflatoxin. But it is difficult to kill this toxin with heat or cooking. And unfortunately, we have the ability to accumulate this, and with time can cause liver disease. Now, there are some meals that for now we would say that are unhealthy. Unhealthy because they may come with a type of fat we call trans fat, because the oil has been used several times over and over again, or it is fried in very deep oil, like we have for fries, like kelewele, like sausages, and also so many other things, because it could make cholesterol levels go up. And once cholesterol levels go up, it could also impede the flow of blood and invariably can also lead to stroke. Then, still choosing our food sensibly, we would recommend beverages that are healthy. Sobolo, if it is prepared well and the hibiscus leaves are selected well, can be used. But the ones that come like this brand, I'm not mentioning the brand, but you know, this brand and other sugar-sweetened beverages, we do not recommend because they come with sometimes chemicals and food color that the body finds it difficult to get rid of. And recently, there has been an upset or a surge in kidney diseases and even hypertension and diabetes, even among very young people. So there are healthy snacks we can actually go for, either fresh fruits or the fruit can be cut, especially for children, to make it interesting for them to want to eat. Or it can be blended and frozen in cups with maybe or other things that probably you have available that is clean. Then it can also be blended as a smoothie. It can be shared as a family. Yogurt is a good source of snack. Then when it comes to drinks, sometimes we do not have time to blend our own juice because we are in a hurry to go to work, or there's no time, or there are a lot of activities over the weekend. Then if we have to choose, let's try and choose healthy drinks for our children especially, and also for ourselves. So look out for 100% blends, but not fruit drink. So if it's a fruit drink, then usually it is a concentrate and it has lots of sugar. So fruit juice is different from fruit drink. There are other healthy snacks we can go for, nuts, dry fruit as well. There are also local ones that we can also try. And for the local ones, we have adule, we have nkati cake. Those who did not eat before coming, they're sorry for you. I'm sure by now you're salivating. So we have nkati cake, kube cake, and plantain chips if the oil is new. And we also have joe or adakwa, and also the almighty agbelikakro if you should take it with the kube as well. Then when it comes to the other snacks, for biscuits, the plain ones that are made with flour, we will not really recommend. But there are some that come with seeds and other cereals, or granola bars can also be given. And these ones, the prices are also moderate. Then the best drink is actually water. And we need it a lot, at least, maybe if you can go between 3 to 5 sachets in a day, is considered ideal. And we need it to flush out every form of toxin from our system, and it protects our kidneys from being damaged. Then when it comes to salt, because as we age, we are prone to hypertension. So and I rather plead with you to also watch out for sources of salt. For a lot of people, if the food is salty, you would know. However, there's another type of salt that is in a lot of food. And with this one, it's called the MSG, or monosodium glutamate. Do you remember some years back, we said no A1? Do you remember? Do you remember? So because you are no more purchasing the A1, it has been repackaged into artificial spices. And for you to know, you can buy your artificial spice, you go outside in the sun, and you will see crystals of these things in the A1. And the main concern is this. When salt is present, it sort of puts so much pressure on the kidneys. And believe you me, you would not want to get into that state. So artificial spices, if you can, take it out, try the natural ones and also herbs because they are healthier. And once you have hypertension, it could lead to stroke. There are other sources of salt, like ebro and nkate. Ebro and nkate, they add a lot of salt. So with the nkate or the granite, the roasted granite, you can peel it off to help to reduce the amount of salt in the roasted granite. And a lot of the fast foods also come, especially the Chinese ones, it comes with a lot of the monosodium glutamate, which can be very harmful to us. And when it comes to how my day's meal should look like, one, you should eat on time. Eating on time means your first meal should be between 6 or the time you wake up and about 8. Then after 5 hours, by all means take a main meal. After another 5 hours, take another main meal. But if we are not so active, if you are very active, you are allowed snacks in between your meal, and it can be fruit or some of the healthy snacks I actually have mentioned. Then if it's breakfast, it should be fiber rich. Fiber rich does not make you hungry within a short time. So it can be yawache, or it can be a brokoko which has not been sieved, or it can be oats, it can be Weetabix, it can be, which ones do you know? Which ones do you know? So once it's rich in fiber, then it's a good one. Then lunch can be, it can be rice. If it's rice and it's brown rice, it's most ideal. If it's difficult for you to take brown rice, then what we recommend, you can mix the brown rice with the white rice to make it more perfumed as you would want. Then by 6:30 p.m., by all means, you should have been done for your meal for the day. But if you happen to come all the way from work for a prayer meeting here, and you have not taken supper, and you go home, by all means, eat something before Nketekete arrests you at night. So around 8 to 9, when you are home, you can take something light. It can be light soup with a slice of bread. It can be porridge, a small bowl of porridge. It will take you through the night without also increasing your cholesterol because you are skipping meals. When you skip meals often, the cholesterol levels tend to go up. So speaking of cholesterol, when I was in active practice, when the doctor refers people with cholesterol, typically, there are people who are overweight or obese. But when the slim ones come in, the first question I ask when I ask them to sit, Pachoko Church Bay, and most often it's Pentecost, because they fast for a long period of time. But maybe we'll talk about that on another day. So to summarize our talk, and I'm sure there'll be questions after. Remember, if you want to live well, as God has mandated us to do, aim to be fit. Have a healthy weight, exercise. Build a healthy foundation, select your food well, and choose food sensibly. Even small changes can make a big difference if it's done over time. I'll leave you with this. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, "So whatever you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God." So my question is what you are eating bringing glory to God? I leave you with this question. Thank you very much.
God bless you, Mrs. Eunice. So we are opening the floor for questions. If anyone has a question for Mrs. Eunice, you can ask your question. Thank you.
All right, church, we have been given opportunity to come out with questions relating to the topic that had been treated. Please, if you have any question bordering the way we eat, please, you can come. All right.
I have a question.
Okay, please, you can walk towards the mic. Then you ask your question. The sound engineer, please, can you help us in this direction?
Can I talk? Good morning. I would want to thank you for your nice presentation, but I have two questions. You didn't mention vegetable oil. Is vegetable oil healthy? And also, is it always compulsory to eat when you are hungry or you are not hungry? I think I should phrase the second one properly. For instance, you are not hungry, but you are awake. Is it compulsory to eat? I don't know whether you understand. For instance, you are saying breakfast. What if in the morning you are not feeling hungry? Should you eat?
Ask your question.
Thank you very much. Okay. So I think, thank you. So we have 3 more questions to go. Anyone? Okay. So once you are thinking through if you should ask a question, I want to address the first one. So with oils, we have the animal sources and plant sources. The plant sources are preferred than the animal sources. So the plant ones like granite oil, coconut oil, if it is the one that is done properly. It can also be canola oil, olive oil. So the plant sources are most ideal than the animal sources. The animal sources, if you can, avoid them. Then, should we eat even when we don't feel hungry? I would say a little bit is fine. Usually, when we ignore hunger cues over a period of time, the body does not give us the cue again. So it is advisable to help your body to help you so that the body can tell you when it actually needs food. So a little around that time is still considered ideal. Don't wait too late in the day.
So we'll take a few questions and she'll answer it in bits. Thank you.
Praise the Lord. Some of us have been diagnosed as non-fasting, but the system itself is such that even if you drink water, you still grow big. If you fast, after fasting, you are now opening the gates more. In childhood days, we were in the village denying meat and eggs. Today, we can buy crates and we can buy this. The dietitian says no. On the one side, no. This side, no. Now, the system, the body system building they say that whatever you do, it is still increasing. What recommendations can you give to some of us? Am I on the right path? What recommendations can you give to some of us, me and my senior brother, so that we can also be, if we even do exercise, we are still growing. When we don't eat late, we are still growing. When we drink water, we are still growing. I don't know what you can recommend for us. Because you say eggs, no way. Meat, no way. Protein, no way. So what?
Okay. My question. So, Auntie Eunice, for someone like me who doesn't eat egg, I don't take egg. But then, when you go to hospital, the doctor is like, you're supposed to eat egg, you're supposed to take egg. What can I take to replace the nutrients that I could get when I eat egg? And also, fruits and vegetables are very good for us. But then I don't really like vegetables. So what is an alternative for vegetables? Thank you.
All right, so whilst we are waiting for our brother Newton, there are pieces of papers going around. If you want to ask a question, you can write your questions down. Then the dietitian will react to you. Okay.
Okay, so my question is, we are told to eat 3 square meals. Mathematically, 3 square means 9 times. It means 9. Now, check the meaning of a square meal. It says substantial, satisfying, and then enough. This is vague. Anybody's perception looking at this, what would be substantial for me might not be substantial for another person. Somebody would take starters, main meal, and then probably dessert. That's 3 times. So 3 square meals can be 9. I don't know. So I'm asking, what is 3 square meals, please?
Please, one more question.
Okay.
So, sometimes in the evening, when I come home and then maybe I'm served a bowl of rice, I may take it, but I may not feel okay. So I want to top it up with something like tea or some other meal altogether, tea or cocoa or something. My wife tells me it's not good to take 2 different combinations like that. I want to find out from the dietitian whether there's anything wrong with it.
Dr. Mrs. NARTEY, my question is, I've decided to replace once a week animal protein with plants, that's beans. But I have this challenge. Whenever I eat beans, I have gas, and it affects me badly. Please, can you help me out?
My question is, those of us who like the smoothies, okay, what is the difference in the nutrients we get when we eat the raw fruits, the raw fruits, as against blending it before we take? Is it the same quantity? Do we get the same quantity of nutrients, or there's a transition somewhere before we take it? Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. Very interesting questions. I think I have to give my working credentials to you to teach my students. It will be an interesting day. So with regards to Honorable's question about age, usually when we hit 30 years going up, the rate at which the body burns foods reduces. So the 1 ball of kenkey you would take at, say, 20, 25, when you are 30, 35, when you take the same ball of kenkey, you will gain weight because the body has become very efficient at the way it would use food. So that becomes a challenge. So it means 2 things. Either you reduce how much you are eating or you increase your physical activity. And when you increase physical activity, it reprograms the body to now start burning food quicker for you so you can eat more and be satisfied. So it's as if it's a race against time if you really want to eat the same portions as you used to. But as you rightly said, around that time, that is when cash has come. And now you are giving you a wahala to reduce it. So you have to find a way to make that balance. But once you exercise or you keep physically active, it helps to reprogram your body back to those days. Then we also have not eating eggs, the alternative. An alternative can be fish powder, mushrooms, granules. All these things also provide proteins which are good and important for your growth. It doesn't have to be eggs. Then, alternate for vegetables. So, you see, for some of us, we have been programmed by virtue of the way we're introduced to food, not to like lumpy things in our mouth. So, you can steam it, it's blended, then it's poured in the soup or stew, especially for young people. And my little one will tell me, I don't like carrots. So I have a pureed carrot in the fridge. Anytime he has to take anything, I add it. But he still thinks now that he doesn't eat carrots. So I blend it down, and everything he would eat, I will add it to it. And I have these things there. And mothers, let's do this without telling them for now. It might help. Later we can confess. Then, for the square meals, you are right. What is square can be triangle for someone else. So, one way to tell if what you are choosing in terms of quantity is working for you is your BMI or your body size. If you realize that you are eating your square and you are putting on so much weight, it means your square, the proportion of the square or the frequency of your square meal is too much, so you have to reduce it. So that's the only way you know what works for you in particular. And if you are putting on too much weight or losing weight, if you are losing weight, it means it's not enough. Topping up after tea. Or tabiano tea. Hey. So there are some people, by virtue of the way they are oriented, by all means, they have to take tea before they sleep. So what I would recommend is this. Not Milo tea. Milo tea comes with calories or energy that you are not able to burn off readily. But you can go for green tea. It's also warm. You feel good. Or green tea will not work for you. So green tea is fine. It also comes with very good phytochemicals. For men especially, it helps to prevent or fight prostate cancer. So once you are taking it on top of everything else, you should feel better as well. Then beans. Beans is a good source of protein. So if you realize that you have gas, the gas is coming from soluble fibers in the beans. So for instance, you want to prepare beans in the afternoon. The day before, you can soak it with lots of water. Then in the morning, whatever comes out of the water, you wash it off. Just drain it and wash it with cold water and cook your meal. You would not have the discomfort. So the soluble fiber that causes the gas or the flatulence dissolves in water if it's soaked for a period of time. If you forget to soak it, then you can prepare or cook the beans with lots of water, drain it off after about 5 minutes, cook it again with lots of water, drain it off after 5 minutes, then cook it properly, and most of the soluble fiber that causes the discomfort will drain away. Then, blending fruit and natural fruits. You see, for fruits, and please, when I say don't scream, what we recommend per serving for an average person, for instance, banana, it's 2 small fingers, about this size. If it is orange, it's one like this. Now imagine squeezing 1 orange into a cup. You may have this. Do you want this? Where is my sister? Do you want this as fruit juice, or you want a whole cup? Okay, so a whole cup will mean about 6 or 7 oranges, and that will be too much for you. and it counts with calories, and it will make you put on weight. So for you, you are taking fruit juice, which is healthy, but you don't know why you are putting on weight. This can make you put on weight too. Okay. So I think I'm done with a question. Do you have a question?
Thank you. So my first question is this. I see a lot of people eat proteins and very little carbohydrates. What's the health implication? My second question, what can we use to, what's the alternative for corset? Is it healthy to wear corset the whole day? Is it healthy to use corset in exercising? Help us.
Okay, thank you very much. So the first one, sorry, I was thinking of the corset so much that I forgot the first one. Too much, yes, sorry, thank you. So there's a disease called the king's disease or the rich man's disease. But of late, it has become everybody's disease. It's called gout. And it used to be because those who are wealthy tend to eat a lot of proteins. And when the body has no way, the body will break down the proteins. But with that comes what we call purines. So the small fishes is one other culprit is taking so much proteins. And when it has these purines in excess, it causes high uric acid levels in the blood. Now, these high uric acid in the blood are so high that they become crystals that the body deposits in your knees and joints and thumbs as well. So sometimes, as people age, they will tell you that they feel like there's sand in their knees. And once they make these adjustments, then they're able to have a little relief as well. So I would not recommend that. Aside the gout, they're also then prone to kidney disease and also other health complications and also cholesterol-related problems. Okay.
So there are a few questions. So in your submission, you mentioned we eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Could you...
Yes, the corset, sorry. The corset, what I thought of so much. So for corsets, it's advised it can be used briefly for a short period of time. After maybe 2-3 hours after that, it should be taken off. If it's worn over a period of time, especially if you've had cesarean operation, or even if not, it tends to push the intestines to be together, especially if there had been a surgical procedure. And they tend to bind together and can, with time, once they bind together, they form what we call, it becomes obstructed. It doesn't make food flow well. And with time, some parts of the intestine can die off. And unfortunately, some have died from this.
So please, these are supplementary questions. So in your submission, you mentioned we eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Could you please clarify and specify the right kinds of fruits and vegetables? Because there are some fruits and vegetables that have high content of fats or calories, which is not needed in the body.
So probably for fats, maybe they mean the avocado pear. And also for fruits, if you have normal weight, the recommendation for fruit is this. In a whole day, you should eat about 5 servings of fruit and vegetable. Now, a serving of fruit is 1 orange or 1 large banana. Or if it's watermelon, the big one like this, the one you have been eating alone like this, divide it into 8. Then you take 1 portion, then share the other portion with others. So if you are taking a whole portion of watermelon, it means you are overeating your fruit, even though it is healthy. The extra calories will have to be deposited somewhere. I mean, you know that. So it will be deposited at places that you'll not be comfortable to deal with.
Okay, so this question is on the local rice and foreign rice. So I react to the foreign rice. So I have been advised to eat the local rice, but Tim finds it difficult to eat the local rice. So the question, what can I do to help my system accept the foreign rice?
Foreign rice now episode. Listen, episode. But the local rice, I understand because it is harvested and sold directly in the market, they usually inherently have more water. So if you cook it with the same amount of water you would cook the foreign rice, it doesn't come out well. So you cook with very little water, it comes out well as the foreign one. Try this and let me know if it works for you. But the foreign one, why do you really want to go foreign if the local works for you?
And the second question, the local rice and foreign rice, of which of them has more nutrients?
As President Kufuor would say, the value is the same. The value is the same. Unless it is the local rice that is not polished. But if it's the same polished rice, the value is the same.
Okay, so the next question, is intermittent fasting healthy for everyone?
Okay, so recently we found that intermittent fasting happens to be protective, especially against diseases. And for diabetics, we have used some, or studies have used among some diabetics, and it has reversed their diabetes. So for some category of people, it seems to work, but we still want to know a little more about it because prolonged fasting also generates lots of cholesterol, which we all know the consequences of high cholesterol.
Okay, so how do we implement the sample of a healthy days menu in this economy?
So intermittent means maybe some people decide once a week they don't eat. So, or maybe every 3 months there's a particular week they take off to fast. So it's not like a prolonged kind of fast, but once in a while they might do so. Some people is once a week, some every quarter is 1 week in every quarter. So it's not like a continuous kind of fast. But we found that this kind of fast seems to be protective recently in preventing disease conditions and also managing our weight and cleansing our systems from toxins.
So how do we implement the sample of a healthy days menu in this economy?
In this eco-fragile economy, it's possible. All things are possible with God. With God, all things are possible. Now, in the morning, find something that is cheap, but that comes with fiber. You can do a brokoko. Then you can also do Tom Brown. If you want to go wache, then go wache. If you want to go kenke, go kenke. So you can have kenke, which is 3 cedi. How much is it? 5 cedi. Mine, I get it for free. So, okay. So kenke is 5 cedis. So 5 cedi plus 1 egg. An egg is 3 cedi. Egg is 3 cedi. So that is 8 cedis. Then the shito is free. So then ask the lady to add lots of tomatoes and onions to your shito for you. And once you do, you should have more vegetables in there. Then aside that, there's also plantain, yam, and also try foods that come in season. They are cheaper. And your cell group can decide to buy onions, you all may contribute, and share. Once we buy in bulk, they are very cheap, and it helps us to also do the needful.
Eating vegetables like onions, tomatoes, peppers, fruits like orange, lemons, bananas, gives me acid reflux and bloating. What food should I take to replace these vegetables and fruits?
So tomatoes, so very likely, if it's very likely to be onions. So onions, there are some family of vegetables that come with some type of fiber that the bacteria in our intestine act on and it produces gas. Then you can steam the vegetable before, it shouldn't be eaten raw. You can steam it slightly before eating the vegetable. And the others that you're uncomfortable with, then you can let it go and go for families of such vegetable that come with a similar color. So use the color code to make those decisions with fruits and vegetables.
Please, I have a question. I want to find, I know some foods have very high glycemic index. That is like they make your blood sugar rise fast. So foods like white bread, and I know a lot of people like white bread. So I want to find out what portion of white bread is recommended. And for fruits like watermelon, also has that high glycemic index. So for us who like watermelon, what would you recommend we replace it with?
Thank you very much. So with food with high glycemic index, it actually means that when we eat our food and once it's digested, the rate at which it leaves the intestine to the blood for the body to use is high. So then the glycemic index is high. Now, there are foods that usually do not come with fiber, have very high glycemic index like bread. So then the brown bread will be an alternative. Or the white bread, you may have to add maybe if lettuce is expensive, just tomatoes and onions in the bread should reduce the glycemic index. So any vegetable in the bread should help the glycemic index to reduce. But for watermelon, then the watermelon can be combined with something instead of eating it as it is. So for instance, if it's blended watermelon, for instance, and it's juiced, then it can be taken with, say, a slice of brown bread to reduce the rate at which it gets into the blood.
Okay. Please, do we have to eat according to blood group?
Actually, I was expecting this question first. I get it a lot. The blood group diet, the theory behind it is that everyone's blood group determines determines what type of food they should eat. But if you look at the theory, those in the B group are similar to the Mediterranean diet and a healthy diet. But the others usually have a number of missing nutrients that with time can bring problems to the person. I have personally had to treat or help in the management of individuals who have gone on the blood group diet and some other ones. And unfortunately, their organs, by the time I met them, their organs were shutting down because there were key nutrients that were missing from it. What we have seen over time is the blood group diet is a fat diet. In other words, a yes kind of diet, but it's not scientifically backed. There are some who may bring you fat, but sincerely, it doesn't work. Because of time, it doesn't work. And it can actually be harmful to you in the long term, unless you are in the blood B group.
How long can we store cooked food in the freezer?
In the freezer, 6 months. Yes. 6 months. Yeah. So if you have a freezer and you prepare your meal and store it in the freezer, it can go as 6 months. So all that you have to do, I know the men are shaking their heads because it means the women are going to cook more in bulk and store it in the freezer and be eating old food. You don't worry. She will not cook it fully cooked. It will be there so that when she warms it, it will cook at that point. So a woman or our mothers, if for instance the stew is halfway through, you can take it off, store, and label the packages so you know which one should be taken out first. So when you are warming, then it will have its full cooking process so that it can still stay fresh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too for having me.